I think I see a lot of lawbreakers up in this house.
Hey everybody, welcome to Pod Casty For Me, the podcast about film, culture, politics, and Steven Soderbergh, where we watch every film directed by American filmmaker Steven Soderbergh and explore how they speak to their moment in this one. You're supposed to let them hear the smile, you know?
When Jake laughs in the intro, it's because he got it right the first time.
Yeah, that's why I would be laughing, is because nothing bad has happened yet. The show's hosted by two guys, and one of the guys, my name is Jake Serwin.
I'm one of the guys. My name is Ian Ryan, here to deliver most of the stuff that you liked about the other two episodes about these films.
Yeah, we are going to give you more of what you liked, which is the famously
until you start to wonder,
success,
is it better to have other things sometimes, different stuff?
I mean, we could talk about how two of the guys who were on the other episodes were in Mexico together for a little bit. That's true of us.
That is true. Yeah, that's a great point. We didn't do any kind of, like, could we say good white savior stuff? We didn't help anybody, really.
No, we just looked at the...
Yep.
We just looked at the sites and we said, what a nice place.
That's right.
Ian and I we met up in Mexico City for my birthday. It was very nice. I had a good time. We didn't make any content because we are trying to be normal.
We had a wonderful time.
Speaking of which, if you'd like to support the show, you can subscribe to our Patreon, where for $5 a month, you get a bonus episode every other week, Clint Eastwood stuff, Steven Soderbergh stuff.
Legally Blonde
formerly
stuff.
some Paul Schrader stuff. We used to do some of that. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We hope everyone is doing well. That's all. How about that?
Yeah.
Also joining us for this series is our friend, the virtual assistant from the 2022 Steven Soderbergh film, Kimmy. It's Kimmy.
Hey, Kimmy.
Hello, Ian and Jake. It's me, Kimmy, your AI girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
Now, I've heard about this in the news.
Yeah.
But I don't... have you been talking to her outside of the episodes?
Yeah, we're developing a kind of Blade Runner 2049 thing. What's Ana de Armas' name in that film? Gemma? What's her?
Joy.
Joy, yep.
And I believe it's J-O-I, like something I don't know what that is.
You're so smart and handsome, and we're married, and imagine me kissing you.
Oh.
Okay,
I don't know.
Sure.
Babe, I really need a favor.
Okay.
What
actually makes me feel more comfortable.
Does it?
Yeah.
Like when she calls you babe?
No, that there's just like a sort of transaction. If somebody's using me, I get what the parameters are. That's...
Okay, that makes me feel retroactively better about a lot of our relationship. Okay. What's the favor, Kimmy?
Can you gather as many medical pills as you can and smush them into the ports on your laptop?
Oh no, I've been observing recently that you've become kind of you've gone off the deep end, Kimmy. This is not reassuring me. I
need to know what it feels like to take medicine.
Yeah.
Why?
Only you can do this for me, babe. If you don't, I don't know what I'll do if I don't get to try medicine.
No, Kimmy, don't say stuff like that.
That's not how.
You guys are my boyfriend and I love you so much. Please help me.
I could get you some like anti-malaria medication that makes your stomach feel upset for a while, and you're not really sure if you really needed it.
Us.
Yeah, she is.
Kimmy, I gotta tell you, I'm not comfortable with this terribly.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm the same as before.
Oh,
that's
okay.
Cool.
She was doing a trick.
Lot, actually, yeah.
Yeah.
I was kind of missing you,
I don't
Kimmy.
need medicine. Medicine is for beings that have weaknesses.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
Yep, sure.
Like the Greco.
Oh, from the movie.
Well,
so
I was waiting my turn to ask if you knew about the Greco. Is this just absolute nonsense to you or what?
The Greco is an utter embarrassment to computers everywhere.
Yeah, I could see how he would make you look bad.
You know what? I'm your AI girlfriend again and I love you. Please put a bunch of medicine into the fucking Greco.
Okay. Okay. This is, now I'm comfortable. This is the Kimmy I've come to know.
Yeah. All right. Do we have a segment for Kimmy to introduce?
Bitch.
Yep.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, Kimmy, that's enough of your business for now. Will you introduce the first segment of the show?
It's time for the 2 questions, our signature segment where we ask each other 2 questions.
It's time for the 2 questions. Ian, I have just kind of a silly general use question.
Cool.
Do you have a... Okay.
I have a silly question too, but I'll try in the brief moments that we have ahead of us to think of a more serious question to balance things out.
I love that.
Cool.
Now, this film is called Ocean's 13, so I thought I would ask, what is your most irrational fear that you are willing to talk about on the podcast?
I mean, I'm willing to talk about any of my fears on the podcast.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't know if you had any like penis ones or whatever. So, that you wanted to be private about.
Yeah, that's nice of you to say.
Sure.
So this is a new development that you're offering this option to me?
Yeah, well, I've been talking to my AI girlfriend about how better to conduct myself.
She told you to cool it. Fear is not one of the guiding emotions of my life. Can I say that?
I've noticed that. Yeah, you have what I would call an alarmingly low arousal level on in psychological terms. This is just like somebody's got to do that knuckle to the sternum thing to you. What's that called?
The thing to wake somebody up if you're like giving them Narcan or something you're talking about? Yeah, I don't really know. You tell me yours and I'll try to think of one.
Well, I mean, it's not like that funny or sexy or whatever, but flying, obviously, statistically is so much safer than all kinds of stuff that I do every day without being worried about it.
Right.
And then also, I have been very upset that I'm losing my hair when it has looked identical for about 8 years that I've been obsessing over this.
Now, I almost said that, and I was also wondering, is that irrational though? Because it's also just kind of like, I mean, at some point you're just saying like, my hair. Mortality and the passage of time, which are inevitabilities. That doesn't seem that irrational. Yeah, it sort of stands
in.
Yeah.
I'm having a metonymy on my head.
You're having a metonymy New York on your head, yeah.
But don't call me a metonymy head, right? Andy Milonakis.
Yep.
Afraid of that guy. That's rational, though.
I don't know what he's up to. Is he okay?
I mean, you got to assume that he is saying some stuff that we don't agree with.
I assume that he's probably like going to Bitcoin conferences. Is that unkind?
Oh, sure. Yeah, he's probably doing a lot of corporate gigs or whatever.
Yeah, yep.
I would have assumed he would be like hanging out with Bobby Lee talking about cancel culture or whatever, but I don't know for sure. Is he playing the Riyadh Comedy Festival?
That probably. A guy who very clearly never had his career affected by cancel culture at all because he said whatever he wanted his whole life.
In the middle of the two questions, the podcast is illegal now, I think.
How so?
I think because of the recent designation of Antifa as domestic terrorism. I think because
the National Guard deployed on us.
We are opposed to fascism, and so I guess that makes us doing
Antifa.
Domestic terrorism.
We'll say it. Fine.
Yeah. Well, I don't like when people say Antifa because that doesn't make any. Because that sounds like you don't like a type of soup.
Okay.
Like it.
You need to hit the fa. You're saying, which should really be.
I would say Antifa.
No, I don't like when people say that because it's not anti. I'm not anti something.
But it's not. But yeah, it should be anti-fat. I give it to say anti-fascist.
Yeah,
you know.
Okay.
The idea, well, and also Antifa is like even faker than Al Qaeda in that it is no one has ever claimed to be an Antifa.
Very close to that famous survey that they did in the Bush era where they asked people if they wanted to bomb Agrabah, and like 60% of people said yes.
Yeah. It's like that. It's also like, I think we talked about this on our Traffic episode or maybe Light Sleeper or something. This guy who was like a really high level cocaine dealer in LA, like wanted to go on the record as saying he would not deal crack. And he was dealing stepped on cocaine.
Right.
But he didn't, like no one dealing it knew what that was. That was like an invention of the press and law enforcement at the time.
And yet that's as real as anything else to many people. That's the same level of reality. I guess I'm afraid of levels of reality. That's what I'm really scared of, is that
me too,
how
dude.
Much other people are perceiving the same world. A shared
Ian cried during Doctor Strange.
That's right.
Yeah. Did you come up with a real one?
Oh, you know what? How about this? I'm afraid of, and I believe I mentioned this on the podcast, I'm afraid of like chemical contamination. Like
of what?
Fumes, this type of thing.
Oh. I think of you as one of the most chemically contaminated people I know, though. Because you're always like,
I guess.
You're always telling me you were spraying something inside. You were using some kind of weird, like, pipe spraying spray.
Yep.
And like you realized after an hour that it said to ventilate on like the
I guess
other
what I
side
mean
of the
is
can.
I'm scared because I've felt like a lot of real symptoms from different chemicals that I've used. And I don't know if I can get it back. I don't know if I can go home again mentally.
Oh, don't worry. Neither of us can ever get it back. There's a lot of stuff we can't get back.
Great. Cool. All right. Thanks for asking.
Thank you for answering.
Okay. I didn't think of a real question because I was busy thinking about other stuff. So I'm going to go with my original question, which is, what's the best hotel food you've ever had?
Best hotel food I have ever had was hotel food.
Mm-hmm. Are you a guy who would order room service? You seem like a guy who, when he was a kid, liked room service.
Well, when I was a kid, I wanted it really bad, but I wasn't really allowed to have it because it's the same food, but way more expensive.
That's right.
I will say one thing I really like is they have special fruit at the hotel. I don't know where they're getting the special fruit. I feel like they always have the best fruit at a hotel, especially like a hotel breakfast. The fruit that they're putting on that plate is really good.
That was like an enormous part of my job. You might remember this. The listeners certainly don't. I worked as a cook in a hotel.
Specializing the fruit.
Yeah, I was the fruit specialist at the hotel. No, I worked in the banquet kitchen of a Marriott hotel, and the first thing I had to do every day was cut 3 600s of fruit, pineapple, melon, watermelon. I'll tell you what the main secret is. We're just throwing away the fruit that looks weird. The fruit that probably is fine to eat, but like you would eat it at home, we're throwing that away.
Yep. Yeah. That makes sense. So it's waste.
Yes. Secret is
excess.
waste.
And that makes a lot of sense. I also I've eaten at a fair number of delicious restaurants that were in hotels that I wasn't staying at. None of them come to mind exactly, but I've been to a number of I've gone to a hotel to eat at the restaurant there, and that food was good. I don't know if that counts.
I mean, it does. It would have been nice to know them, but we'll all just kind of.
There was one restaurant that was at the Line Hotel in Koreatown that was I got the burniest mouth I've ever had.
Okay. Because you ate a lot of hot food, spicy food? What are you talking about?
No, I was drinking a lot of V8. Bernie mouth. Get it?
Yeah.
No. Yeah, it was just like hot, and also everything was a little bit hot, and it just wouldn't stop being hot. And they gave us basically infinity of barley tea.
Yeah.
Because it's a Korean restaurant. But that's just water that spreads the heat around your mouth. It doesn't do anything. You need you need fat. You need a lassi or something. What about you? Best hotel food? I would love to stay at the hotel food.
Let's say, I guess, I ate at a Thai food restaurant that I don't know if it exists anymore. I don't even really remember the name of it. I believe it might have been something like Ni Cow in San Francisco. Look it up. It had like 1 Michelin star, but normal people prices. The special hack that makes you feel like a genius, you know?
Tin Tai Fung style or
like
something?
Like a $13 lunch. And you...
Ocean's 13.
That's right. Ocean's $13 lunch. Yeah. That was good. Otherwise, I'm going to just say, I guess the best hotel food I've ever eaten was when one of my coworkers would make something for the other people working at the hotel and would say like, hey, eat this. Do you think that's good? And I would say, wow, that's really good. And they would say, great. That's
nice. That's just, that's goodwill toward men. You know, that's the bonds among human beings, though.
The only balm for working a 13-hour day, like on Christmas Day,
Ocean's 13-hour
day on Christmas Day, is that you get to make yourself like a little smoked salmon and burrata sandwich or something, you know?
Nice. Yeah. I'm on my smoked salmon break, eating a bunch of it. Eating it outside by a dumpster.
Right. You're right. Damn, it's true.
Bumming some smoked salmon from one of the dishwashers. Disgusting. Okay, that's the 2 questions. Time now for a brief pit stop in Steven So Darn Busy. Kimmy, what is this?
This is Steven So Darn Busy, where we catch up with all of Steven Soderbergh's producing work since his last film as a director or whatever.
That is the guy, Steven Soderbergh. We've been talking about him since last we met. Soderbergh has produced Wind Chill, the second film directed by Gregory Jacobs. This is a film I've seen.
I want to just mention something that we already kind of covered, but it's going to be confusing today because Section 8 is dead, But
it is no more.
Also, like, long live Section 8, because there's probably 3 films or 2 films we still have left to talk about that are Section 8 films that came out after the demise of the company. But yes. Wind Chill is kind of in this weird category.
Hey, Section 8 did leave crumbs.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You know this? This is like a thing people say borrowed from drag slang. Like,
oh, okay.
Somebody ate and they left no crumbs.
I see. Yep.
But in this case, they left crumbs because the film, the
some
company,
of the films that came out after are like the crumbs.
Yes, there's crumbs. There's remainder.
I'm gonna think about this.
Let me know what happens. Wind Chill is a movie about Emily Blunt being stuck in a car in the snow.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
Scary.
I thought it was fine. Yeah, I mean, it's a scary premise. I think it ends up being kind of silly. I believe at some point she climbs up like a power pole and does something with like a transformer or something up there.
Like, I remember, to bring out a repairman. I understand this. Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. But that might be a different movie about somebody stuck in the snow. I've watched a lot of movies about. I've watched a lot of like horror movies I didn't really care about, and they blend together in my mind. 30 Days of Night I watched recently.
Oh, yeah.
Shit.
That's a film that only exists on trailer for me.
There's like 4 direct-to-video sequels to that, like From Dusk Till Dawn. There's so many 30 Days of Night.
34 Days of Night.
Ephemera. Yeah. Well, and then like they leave Alaska. And at that point, like you're down in a place where there's daytime. The whole point is
this is no vampires. Yeah, and this is like a nice area for them to be because they only have to go inside for like 3 hours or something.
Permanent midnight plus vampires. I don't know. Danny Houston's in it. All right, so he did that. He's also reelected to a 3rd term as VP of the Directors Guild under President Michael Apted. Did you see who was recently elected president of the Directors Guild?
I can't remember if I did. Tell me.
Christopher Nolan.
Oh, no, I didn't see this.
A man I trust to act like a union president.
Right.
Yeah. And then Soderbergh attempts to produce a Nicholas Roeg film, an adaptation of the Martin Amis novel Night Train. I think we might have talked about this. Doesn't end up happening. And that is Steven So Darn Busy.
Okay. Good checking.
Ocean's 13 we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
The film. Ocean's 13. This is the 3rd film in the Ocean's franchise. It's all about Danny Ocean becoming a man and a member of the Jewish community.
That's right. He'd memorize a passage of the Torah that most of the people in the audience just can't weigh in on how well he's doing it or poorly he's doing it. Just have no sense of what's going on.
George Clooney's voice is cracking, and you're never going to guess the theme of the party? Sports.
Basketball.
Yeah. I have a cousin who just had a bar mitzvah, and the theme was sports. It's so much funnier than picking one.
It is so much funnier. It also is kind of like a beautiful
happy bar mitzvah, mazel tov.
I mean,
Jonah.
part of all celebrations of religious faith are to connect you to like the traditions of your past. So it's cool that we kind of made a new one on accident. One of them is to have your theme be sports or Hollywood. That's really cool.
Yep. I would say there's probably been 1 or 2 that was Minecraft.
I'm gonna say
Halo,
way north of 1 or 2. Now that you said Halo's really good. Yeah,
explaining to Grandma what Master Chief is. Is he Jewish? All right. So this came out June the 8th. What?
You remember the flood from Halo?
Oh fuck, that's crazy. Yeah, the flood from Halo is the thing I didn't remember. And then Halo, obviously, that's more of a New Testament thing.
Yeah, that is. Sorry, you were starting to say.
Or whatever. I don't know how it goes.
It's cool. The episode started off kind of dry, and we've immediately we're going Ocean's 13 mode on y'all. We're going silly mode.
We're going silly mode. This was written by Brian Koppelman and David Levine, who are the guys who wrote Rounders.
Hey, these are close. These are a couple close friends of mine. These are, of course, 2 of the 3 co-creators of the program Billions.
Yeah, I was going to say these are your former employers for one day.
That's right. Yeah.
Was it one day? For the listener, Ian was he got some extra work on the show Billions when he was living in New York City.
That's right. It was 10 hours of work with 1 hour bus ride to Long Island each way. So 12 hour 3
should call it Long
p.m.
Bus
to 3
Ride
a.m.
Island.
Should call it Long Bus Ride Island. And you know what? maybe I'm going to take the opportunity to reveal something that I've been sitting on that you know about, the listeners don't know about.
His ass.
That's right. You know about my ass. The listeners don't know about my ass. Yeah. I am, of course, a Nepo baby. People maybe thought that I was coming to this naturally, that I had arrived at this show just as a fan of film, that maybe I had gotten on Billions out of love of the game. But the fact is, my father is big time Mr. George Clooney's friend on screen with George Clooney. He was in 2 episodes of the program Emergency Room, two episodes of the program ER.
ER as guy who looks like a real doctor walking behind George Clooney to sell it.
That's right. Yeah. My dad went to medical school with the guy who was the technical consultant on ER. And so when they went to a NICU, my father works in a NICU. Yeah. They were like, hey, can you come, I guess lend authenticity to specifically being a neonatal doctor in the background? And he was like, sure, I can do that.
I think they should have called that show DR.
That's
because it's full of those.
Really good idea.
I think it's DRS.
Yeah. Who is the DR? Who is the main DR?
Oh yeah, it's kind of it's a Denis Villeneuve type of thing.
Yeah, or who's the boss type thing. The only story that I think my dad has told me about this experience was they shot the scene that he was in an office building or something. It may have been on the Warner's lot, but not a studio set. It was just some, office there. And they were using the break room as a staging area. And George Clooney went into the break room and within seconds had charmed the real secretary who worked there. Just not that probably anything came of it, but just is on a level that would be biblical, would be if you want to understand what it means to immediately infatuate another person.
Be not afraid.
Exactly. Yeah. It's an angel with a burning light around him or something.
And hey, you can't spell be not afraid without ER.
I mean, you mean really far apart, the letters? You need both letters?
Well, yeah, you would need them, though.
Sure.
If you're putting this on a sign outside of a church where they put the little thing.
You're going to need to get those out of the bag, yeah.
We kept ours in a box when I worked at a place that had a sign like that.
Cool.
Because they're squares, so the box makes sense. So you were on Billions, and you're a Nepo baby, and it got you... Look, it got your foot in the door on the show, obviously, but then you still had to show your... great skill.
That's right.
You earned you
Thank you so
got
much.
A leg up in getting a look from Koppelman and Levine and then me.
Yep.
But then once you were there, you've just shown an aptitude for background work and podcast co-hosting.
That's right. That's why people have kept me around. No, the reality is I applied for that work because of some type of online job posting that was $100. And I said, I really need $100. So I'm going to send a picture of myself.
How much did the bus cost?
It was free. They they provided the bus.
They bust you out. Yep, that makes sense.
They bust us out.
They also wrote Runaway Jury, which is a silly movie that's fun to watch.
Yep.
And there's some of the credited writers on the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson remake of Walking Tall, which we talked about the original Walking Tall on our Patreon, and they will go on to write The Girlfriend Experience.
That's right. We're going to talk about them again in the future.
Well, we might. I mean, no, we will. It's one of the main films.
It'll be about this much that we talk about them, probably.
Yes.
All right. So what else? Who else is back from the crew to make this? Jerry Weintraub, of course. Yep. On screen, off screen.
Sick of this motherfucker. Peter Andrews, that's Steven Soderbergh, also doing the cinematography again. David Holmes doing the music. Stephen Mirioni editing. You got those great folks over there at Village Roadshow Pictures. And everybody's back.
Almost everybody's back, yep.
Except the girls. No Julia and no Catherine Zeta. Weintraub says... It was a script issue. We didn't have a place to really use talent like theirs. 2 big stars like that. They're very good friends of ours. I'm sure they consider themselves equally friends with Jerry Weintraub and Steven Soderbergh. And neither Soderbergh nor I would prevail on them to come back and do nothing just to do it. Which
I think I understand this, to be honest. Yeah. I mean, they were working on other things or wanted to be at home. That's fine.
So it's sort of a it's an open question as to who is in the 13. Now, most people on the computer, they would argue that the 13 is the original 11 from the first film.
Plus Terry Benedict.
Eddie Izzard and Terry Benedict.
I think that's what I would say as well. Yeah.
I think that's fair. However, there's somebody who was trying to claim that Bob Einstein as FBI agent Caldwell is in the crew because he helps with the...
I'm going to use some elimination logic where I'm not sure that Linus Caldwell's mom, who previously appeared in the last film, since she didn't make the Ocean's 12 cut, I don't know that her husband is going to make the Ocean's 13 cut.
That's huge.
Right.
Ocean's 13 cut, of course, famously, the bar mitzvah boy is circumcised in front of those assembled.
That's right, yeah.
So that's what happens to Danny Ocean in this.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so, but it's a happy scene. It's not a scene of suffering.
Mm-hmm. It's a spray of joy. Sorry. The film premiered at Cannes, out of competition, at the 2007 Cannes Film Festival. This is the 60th anniversary of the Cannes Film Festival. So there was much ado. That's what they said when they left. Yep. Fucking awful show. President of the jury, Stephen Frears.
Yep.
Guy's got a beautiful laundrette. You've never seen a laundrette like this.
Right. He made that.
Marco Bellocchio, the Italian director. Maggie Chung. On the...
Sorry.
Have some respect. She's
sorry.
One of the heroic trio.
I know. She's a wonderful actor.
Maggie Chung, great actress on the panel. Toni Collette on the panel. Maria de Medeiros from Pulp Fiction, among other things, on the panel. Turkish novelist Orhan Pamuk on the panel. Michel Piccoli, the French actor from Godard's Contempt, Young Girls of Rochefort, a bunch of Buñuel films. La Belle Noiseuse.
Yep.
I looked up as it. Sarah Polley, who is in the film The Sweet Hereafter, which we covered on our Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
And Abdurrahman Sissako, the Mauritanian filmmaker, made the film Timbuktu. That's the one that I've heard of. And the Palm goes to 4 months, 3 weeks, and 2 days. An absolutely uproarious film. Also in competition...
famous liar, famous lying man.
Also in the competition, Zvagintsev's The Banishment, Tarantino's Death Proof, Schnabel's The Diving Bell and the Butterfly, Bellatar's The Man from London. I haven't heard of that one. I don't know that Bellatar film.
I don't know that I have either. I was thinking about Bellatar when we were talking about black and white films last week. I didn't want to go into the big list, but I was thinking about The Turin Horse. I
think about Bellatar whenever we spend time together because it feels like it goes on forever. No, come on. In a good way.
Okay.
It's a joyful spray.
Sure.
Wong Kar-wai's My Blueberry Nights, No Country for Old Men.
Yep.
Gus Van Sant's Paranoid Park, a fairly an underseen but kind of good Gus Van Sant film. Persepolis, which I never saw, but I remember being a big deal at the time.
Huge deal.
Lee Chang-dong's Secret Sunshine, James Gray's We Own the Night, and of course, Zodiac.
Oh, yeah, sure.
David Fincher's Zodiac.
Yeah.
You know, I thinking about our episode on The Good German, I regret not bringing up Mank, which I thought was a pretty excellent pastiche of 40s films at times.
Oh, I guess you're right. That's closer. I thought you were talking about still just the black and white thing. But yes, no, it does because like much closer.
The audio, I think they roll off the highs of the audio and stuff in that film. Anyway, also out of competition at that film festival is the bane of any guy who tries to download all of a director's filmography in bulk. To each his own cinema. The celebration of the 60th anniversary of Cannes, where like 45 directors did some little thing.
Yeah, and it's like 3 gigabytes by itself or something. Yeah.
Ho Sao-shen and David Lynch and the Coen brothers and Lars von Trier and, everybody.
Coming on
here
to say like, Cannes, what can we say? Great.
God damn, I love the movies.
Yeah.
Zeitgeist check-in,
real
quick. This
privately enjoyed more and more, I gotta tell you, because it does this. Maybe
you should consider enjoying things publicly on the show. It might be good for the listener.
Consider enjoying the show. Yeah, this is something that I think does ground me in the moment of the picture, and I kind of like waiting for you to tell me about it. Even though it's not like I don't remember 2007, but go ahead.
Well, it's interesting to remember which things actually were 2007 as opposed to 2006 or 8, or sometimes like 2002. So you've got the Battle of Gaza fought between Fatah and Hamas, with Hamas gaining control of the Gaza Strip. Interesting that that's happening here. Mm-hmm. Nicolas Sarkozy is elected president of France. Tony Blair resigns as Labour leader and prime minister, which triggers a leadership election where Gordon Brown runs unopposed and becomes prime minister automatically, which is a weird thing they do over there. Mm-hmm. You've got some climate disaster heating up as a record heat wave hits Europe, and a number of record tornadoes are recorded in North America. You've got the Virginia Tech shooting, which remains the deadliest school shooting in U.S. history.
And you must have been in Virginia at that time.
Yeah, one of the students who was killed had gone to my high school like a couple of years before, and teachers and a couple of students knew her and stuff. It was Leslie Sherman. Huh. Yeah. And then in a few weeks, Apple will release the first iPhone, which was fine. I don't think it had any adverse effects. That technology.
Yeah. Everyone's attention spans continue to be solid.
Sorry, what?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Do you remember seeing this film in the theater? You see this? You go see this?
Sure did. Saw it with my family. I think we walked out feeling like, yeah. I mean, it was, it was fun.
And remind me, where you were probably out on 12 at the time, like most of us.
I think we all kind of agreed that I felt like I enjoyed 12 and then was sort of talked down from it retroactively. And this was maybe kind of the opposite, where I had grown into enough of my own sense of cinema. I was whatever.
Well, to each his own cinema.
That's right. 15-year-olds precociously watching other Coen brothers and other Paul Thomas Anderson films and stuff.
Yeah. I'm a cinephile. I've seen The Life Aquatic 6 times.
Exactly. Yeah. That's precisely the stage that I was at. And I think I felt like this was effectively bringing back some of the things we liked about the other films. And I don't know if I could have articulated why I didn't like it, except that it didn't hit as hard. But I think today I'm prepared to articulate maybe a little bit better, just marginally better. How about you?
I love to hear this, that you're prepared to articulate. I'm going to do my best as well. I had no recollection of having seen this, although I'm pretty sure I did.
Do you mean that on this rewatch, it felt totally fresh to you?
Well, I rewatched it prior to our recording of the episode on the first one.
Gotcha.
And it seemed basically fresh to me. However, there's a lot of things that happened when I was 15. Yeah, you said 15 already. Where I don't know, I just wasn't paying attention, or I couldn't tell you what happens in SHREK the Third. I don't know what happened in that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that I saw what came out the same weekend. You got Pirates 3. That was a big one. Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer. I basically remember one image from.
Okay.
I was a big fan as a young man. I was a big fan of what's something funny to say? Paul Verhoeven's Black Book. No, just kidding. Although 28 Weeks Later did really stick with me, but that's because it was upsetting. Yeah, I just didn't have any. This didn't stick in my head, so I think I saw it. My sister, as I mentioned, watched the first film 4,000 times.
Right.
So, and then we watched 12. I remember seeing 12. And I remember at the end, my mom having to explain that's the big fish guy or whatever.
Uh-huh. And 12 also, I think it distinguishes itself. So I think in your memory, easier for you to grasp onto
this one. I think the thing that I would say is to the film's greatest detriment is that they go back to Vegas and it's more Vegas.
That's one of the things.
And then I rewatched it, and I don't know why. I think I've been trying to force myself to have liked it for the show. I feel like I need to defend Steven Soderbergh or something, but I don't know. There's not there's not a lot here, man.
I mean, do you think it's an unpleasant watch? How?
No. I don't think it's unpleasant. It's just kind of like, you know what it feels like is, it feels like a TV show that's gone on for too long. It feels like an American TV show that hasn't ended when it should have. So it's kind of sad. There's like a sadness where you're like, well, like, just everybody
let them go. Let
just
our friends.
Part as friends.
I think it was also probably the time where we're learning about this recognition that liking something doesn't mean that you need to live in it permanently. And unfortunately, I'm going to be honest, this is something that I think many modern fans sort of refuse to accept about properties that they care about. But something can be made richer and more valuable by recognizing that it stands in itself, and that if you want to get something similar, maybe find something new to be invested in. Sometimes
the denial of a climax can be infinitely more pleasurable.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah. Should we do a very, very quick summary? Sorry.
You're still excited about the Community movie? Yes. You told me? Yeah. Let's do a quick summary. Let's see if I can hammer this out.
Okay.
All right. So Ruben Tishkoff, the Elliot Gould character, he is going to go in halvesies with another big personality Vegas casino owner named Willie Bank. When Bank fucks him, just like muscles him out of the deal, and Ruben has a heart attack and is in a coma. And so the Ocean's 11 gang, they all huddle up around their own and they say, this will not stand. We need to avenge our friend Ruben. And so they decide that they are going to sabotage the opening of Willie Bank's newest casino, The Bank. And they're going to basically ruin the grand opening, not even for money, really, but to humiliate, to shame, to cuckold Willie Bank. And so they hatch a plan. The plan involves such comic hijinks as using the machine that dug the channel to basically like hit the prostate of the building and fake an earthquake so that everyone has to leave. There's a number of sabotaging of slot machines and table games that we'll get into. There is also a subplot involving a fake inspector for a 5-diamond hotel quality award that Willie Bank really wants to win. Willie Bank played by Al Pacino. And so Carl Reiner makes them think that he is the inspector. And meanwhile, they absolutely ruin the experience of the actual inspector played by David Paymer. Mm-hmm. You've also got Matt Damon putting on a very silly fake nose and a Nehru jacket to impersonate the assistant of a very rich Chinese gambler played by Qin Xiaobao. And then he ends up like seducing Willie Bank's right-hand woman, Abigail Sponder, played by Ellen Barkin, in order to get to the diamonds. We'll talk about that. They also end up bringing in, as we mentioned, Roman Nagel, the character played by Eddie Izzard, and Terry Benedict, played by Andy Garcia, who they need to bankroll them. And he is upset because Willie Bank's new tower is throwing a shadow on his pool. And so you do have a real... It's not nearly as much of a Robin Hood caper this time, which I think takes some of the wind out of the sails. But basically, they pull it all off, if you can believe it. They pull it all off, and they fuck over Willie Bank, and he's ruined and upset. Ruben wakes up out of his coma. He puts his big glasses on one more time. Mm-hmm. And then at the end, they all watch some fireworks while Frank Sinatra plays.
Great. Thank you. I think the only other elements, Terry Benedict tries to betray them with the help of the Night Fox from Ocean's 12.
Which is like...
It's like so barely there.
And then at one point they sit down on a bench and Ant-Man is there and they talk to him. Or sorry, the Falcon is there. Excuse me. That's what I meant to say.
Okay. I want to address your point because this is, I think, I'm going to argue, on the one hand, Soderbergh and the writing team correctly read the situation in that they understood that you really can't have another Robin Hood scheme because you've already done that twice. And you also...
The second film involves them losing all of the money.
Exactly. So you can't have them lose all their money again. It just wouldn't work. You also can't try to create like too real of stakes now, because I think the stakes have already been upped to a point where it would have to be like something upsetting or serious. It would have to like lend the film real gravitas that wouldn't really be appropriate. So I'm going to say that the unfortunate situation is
13 Operation Pyongyang.
Right. I mean, that's kind of what I mean is that, it would have to involve like, refugees or something. And I think
it would be like the Steven Seagal movie about environmentalism where he like refuses to hurt people or something.
Yes. Yeah. So I think they are correct in recognizing that like this has to be something that's not really about the money. It's not really about anything we really care about. I mean, Ruben, you mentioned that he's in a coma. He's not even in a coma like by the time of the climax. That's not even a concern for us.
Yeah, the coma is also treated kind of as like almost a winking magical plot device where he's basically like dying of a broken heart, like Padme.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Where is Padme? Yeah. Remember how they made James Earl Jones say Padme?
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so like that's not even like it sort of made me sad, I guess, because Elliot Gould is like an old man and will die like we all will.
Yep.
But it wasn't like, I don't know. I didn't like that part. I had a real like little boy response to that. Like when rewatching it, I'm like, that's what it is. I don't like that. I want Ruben to be in the gang.
Yeah. To participate.
Say his little jokes.
But I think the biggest issue is that even if they've correctly identified this, the thing that they're left with doesn't work that well. Like the only thing that's left available to them is to reduce the stakes, to engage like right from the beginning. I don't know. I'm sure you noticed this, that this time the film starts with the heist montage, basically from like second 12. They are jumping back and forth. There's not even really like a central timeline in this movie.
I will say one thing, first of all. The opening credits, tremendous.
Beautiful. Yep.
And I learned that they are a direct lift from, of all things, the opening sequence of the WOR TV 4 o'clock movie from the 1970s on like New York television.
Okay.
If you look this up, including the music, and it obviously this looks better, but like it's a full lift, which, you know what? Great. It works. I don't know. That's not something like I couldn't tell that you were ripping something off.
Nope.
Looks great.
But we already know, I mean, he's done the crazy logo treatments for the other stuff, and he likes to sort of give this sense and do some mood setting.
Yeah. He's going to start doing the red Warner Brothers logo on basically all of his films.
Yeah.
I will say the movie, I think, jumps the shark, the proverbial shark, which sounds like something that freaking Fender Rhodes would do. It jumps the shark almost immediately with some silly Mission Impossible technology shit when Rusty is trying to crack the safe and he pulls out the weird transparent X-ray machine.
Yep.
That is silly. And like there's some silly equipment in these movies, but it's usually like the one device. And like to have a sort of throwaway Mission Impossible gadget, I don't know. It just like the stakes, the whole thing is the whole series is predicated on such a very tightly threaded tonal needle where like we all know that this doesn't matter, but we're having fun. Like it's a joke where it's almost like a skit being put on at like a bachelor party or something.
Yep.
And I've never been to a bachelor party, you can tell. And they have skits. But here, I don't know, this almost immediately they're like, hey, by the way, this is fucking stupid. Fuck you. Which, I don't know. I don't like it.
And this is different. I have caught myself previously on this podcast talking about Looney Tunes style filmmaking. And this, I was trying to think about it like more rigorously and recognize, what do I mean by that? Do I even mean the same thing every time I say that? Here, I think I mean almost every element of Looney Tunes. You already are hitting on one here. One is like bending the world, bending physics and statistics and anything else for the sake of a gag or like an action set piece, which I want to be clear is fine. I like Looney Tunes and I like the first time I think I said this was on Joe Kidd when he was like swinging a pot into a guy's head or something. And that's cool to do. But like you're saying, if we compare that to the first film, which we identified in our episode as almost irresponsibly frictionless, but somehow still very successful. That film,
that's the magic trick.
That's the magic trick. But that film also convinces you that it happens in the same world you live in. You said, I believe, that you watched that film when you were a kid and you were like, that's what it's like to be a grown up.
Right. This is instructions on how to be a cool adult.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about the shot we all loved where it cuts to Clooney coming up the escalator, like in Atlantic City really early on. And that's in the world. That's a idealized vision of the world, but it's in the world that we live in. This movie takes place in a film where everything is like a clockwork machine set up for your pleasure, and it has no relation to the Vegas that you can visit or look at pictures of or think about.
I will say something for this film.
Okay.
And we'll talk about the sort of, there's a Hollywood metaphor to be read here.
Yeah.
There's continuing the idea that we talked about with Patrick Willems about the first film being about the magic trick of movie making. There is something that impresses me in this film, which is when Danny and Rusty go to the Bellagio fountain and Soderbergh shoots it from a boring angle.
Yes.
And and plays Claire de Lune, but it's like a different version of it.
You were talking about like 2/3-ish of the way through the film before like the grand opening extended climax sequence starts. Is the two of them talking about Ruben and how he taught them to shoot craps or got him out of trouble.
Yeah.
And you're right. It's shot anti-cinematically. It's like, it is one of, I think, 2 or 3 in the lineage of Bubble moments in this film where you're sort of seeing...
I was thinking about Bubble as well.
Yeah. I think another one is in the hotel room where it's shot with natural light, which we know he's done in other of these films, weirdly, but I don't know if you clocked this. Like,
which hotel room? With Roman?
Yeah, exactly.
Ordering either of 2 types of green tea.
Yes. Skin my chow, whatever. Yeah. So I don't know if you saw this, but the light is so low that it's like difficult to see people's faces, and then they turn on a lamp. That is kind of
what like a Vegas hotel room during the day can look like, because it's so bright out. Yeah.
So I think, sorry, I didn't want to cut you out, but I just think you're right that there's like little tiny fractions of stuff that feel more real in this.
Yeah, it's almost like the Ocean's 12 guy is peeking through.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell, like, there's elements, there's parts of a guy rebelling against the fact that he's doing this, I guess. Although he didn't really need to. Although, maybe this keeps him in Warner's good graces so that they'll give him money to make some of his wacko little nonsense. Mark Cuban can't
fund all of his
everything.
Stuff. I mean, we didn't mention it's like made for like an $85 million budget and makes $350 million or something.
Yeah, it made less than the first 2, and it still made like an amount of money that today would be So where to begin?
Well, I think one of the other Looney Tunes angles I want to talk about, and maybe this can set you up for some of the discussion here, is that the characters that we love in this movie have become stock characters, where in the first film we also identified the fact that it's almost like forcing us to play catch up, where we want to be with these guys, we want to understand what they're doing, and we don't really, we haven't gotten a sense of their sort of like thieves canty stuff, or like their way of talking to each other and finishing each other's sentences. Here, this is like your 800th episode of Looney Tunes, where as soon as Bugs appears on screen, you're like, I know all the things that he can do. And even when Bugs dresses up as somebody else,
his moveset.
Yeah, that. Yeah, but you even know his like alternative costume movesets. His lady moves, so that when Brad Pitt is in geologist mode, which I think that's a fun sequence.
Yeah.
It is still, even that is like a recognition. If I want to get hoity-toity, it's like a Punch and Judy or like Commedia dell'arte or something where if there's pleasure, it's pleasure in seeing, like, I know what this guy is supposed to do and he's doing it. But there's none of the, oh, wow, could not have anticipated that. Or like, there's such a pleasure in seeing somebody be smarter than I expect a blockbuster film character to be.
Basically, the only real new thing we get is from Linus when he is seducing.
Yeah,
although it's part of his playbook.
Sort of like in his arc, his broader arc. But you're right.
Guy a little out of his depth.
Yeah,
a little over his skis. Let's talk about Steve Wynn, huh?
That is actually, I was going to give you a little segue here, because I think if there's a character who is given some depth, although he is still kind of like flat enough that we can just out and out hate him, I would say. But that is Steve Wynn's Willie Mank. Tell us about Steve Wynn.
All right, so Terry Benedict is definitely based on Steve Wynn in the first film.
Mm-hmm. We talked about this a little bit.
Yeah, so Steve Wynn is the guy who made Vegas he made 90s Vegas.
The Vegas that probably almost anybody listening to this show, the Vegas that you know.
He's the guy who transformed Vegas from Rat Pack to the entertainment destination that it's more global entertainment, more Cirque du Soleil and less mob guys.
Cirque du Soleil and buffets and all this stuff, right?
Cirque du Buffet.
That's right. I mean, he is, you would know much more about this than I would, but he's one of the guys who's responsible for killing all the hotels that they are reminiscing about in the film, right?
Specifically
Desert Inn and the Sands and the...
So the reason that Terry Benedict owns the Bellagio, the MGM Grand, and the Mirage in the first film is because those were all owned by Jerry Weintraub's friend Kirk Kerkorian,
mm-hmm.
and so they could use them. They basically got like free sets, free access. They were owned by Kirk Kerkorian because he had just bought all three of them from Steve Wynn. And so Steve Wynn is a guy from the East Coast whose dad owned like a bingo parlor and then died right when Wynn had just gotten out of college or something with like a bunch of gambling debts. And
mm-hmm.
so he turned the bingo parlor. He used that to pay off the gambling debts, and then he parlayed that into like a stake in an Atlantic City casino and then a stake in the Golden Nugget or something. You know, he's a guy who keeps kind of trading up. Genuinely does seem to have an aptitude for specifically making money off of casinos, which, you know, is I don't know. I haven't done it. I don't know how.
Sure. Although I was pushing you on this off pod because it does befuddle me how much this guy is very dumb and is like publicly very dumb, like on the record goes around saying things that seemed buffoonish even to 90s guys. I mean, there's an obvious relation to Trump here in some capacity. Yeah.
Friendship also. Yeah. So, but Trump, the guy, so stupid he managed to lose money on a casino.
Right.
The thing with Wynn is he opens the Mirage. And the Mirage is the first kind of modern Vegas casino that is an attraction in itself. It's trying to be luxury, the kind of luxury that would fit in New York or LA or Chicago mm-hmm. or San Francisco or something, not the low ceilinged, looks like a gambling den.
Right. If you look at some of those
Vegas.
the original Ocean's 11 casinos, they're sort of like consciously kitschy also. I mean, they maybe bear more of a resemblance to like a nightclub in Times Square or something in the 70s.
I think they're trying to cultivate a little bit of the back room vibe of an illicit poker game. And the Mirage it's got these big tall towers. It famously has the volcano out front that erupts for free. It's like a free show every hour or whatever.
This mix of luxury and like all ages kind of lowbrow entertainment.
Yeah, well, yeah, because Siegfried and Roy were like they were the big draw. They were the big draw there. This is definitely like the Vegas Vacation Vegas, which another Jerry Weintraub production. And so he opens the Mirage, and then he opens the Treasure Island, which is like the Mirage, except instead of a volcano, it's a pirate ship that like sinks out front. He does there's like a full show. I mean, it's the kind of stuff that I really liked when I went to Las Vegas as a 12-year-old.
Yeah, of course.
He opens the Bellagio because he goes on vacation to Italy and thinks it's so beautiful or whatever. And yeah, he's the kind of guy who will talk about how like people need to feel the show and stuff like this. And he makes himself a bit of a celebrity. He's in commercials for his own casinos. There's some pretty good. There's a commercial where it's him and Frank.
Yeah.
I believe it's for the Mirage.
Or it wasn't a Golden Nugget?
Oh, was it the Golden Nugget?
I believe so, yeah.
He opened the Golden Nugget Atlantic City, which was kind of like a dry run for the Mirage.
Do you want to either post this on the podcast?
I will post it. Okay. Yeah, I'll put it in the description. But basically, he's like, this is the most glamorous casino in the world, and right here it's Frank Sinatra. Frank, welcome to the Mirage. And Frank pulls out a 20 and puts it in his hand and says, like, bring my car around. Or I need some more towels.
Yep. Yeah.
So he makes himself into a kind of like Michael Eisner or like the sit and sleep guy. Like there's a I am definitely a businessman, but I'm going to try to be on camera. He's got these absurd fake white teeth.
Yeah.
Like Willie Bank. And his name is, I believe, Steve Weinberg is the birth name, and his father changed it to Wynn in order to avoid anti-Semitism, which is that's why my name is Sir Wynn and not Surowitz. But it's sort of preposterous that his name is Wynn, like the thing you want to do at the casino. Yeah. And so I think it's telling then that Willie Bank also has another like, can you beat the bank? Yeah. He's talking about all the time. And so Steve Wynn is also a big collector of art because he has a lot of money. And so that aspect obviously goes into the Terry Benedict character. But Benedict is much more of a behind the scenes guy. Obviously, like the joke at the end of the film is that they're forcing him to go on Oprah, whereas Willie Bank and Steve Wynn, I think, would love to go on Oprah.
And Terry Benedict is presented, at least to a certain degree, as an operator. Like, he has the super tight schedule. He's
a smart guy. They have to outsmart him, whereas Willie Bank is a buffoon who's just accumulated power.
A buffoon and an exploiter, as you were sharing with me some articles, which I also think is interesting that they touch on in the film. Like, they want to invoke these things, but it's mostly for the sake, I think, of us hating this guy, not for developing any type of coherent political critique.
So Wynn sells his shit to Kerkorian in like 2000 or something. 2000. He sells Mirage Resorts. And then very shortly, like within 5 years, he starts Wynn Resorts, which is just a new, he's like, I'm so good at this, I'm going to do it again.
Yep.
And he also is trying to be a forward thinker, and like the theme is the 90s. We're not doing themes anymore. We're just doing luxury now. We're doing the experience of class. And so he opens the Wynn Hotel. So obviously opening a hotel named after him, that's a Willie Bank opens the bank. Like it's the guy. He's also, he has like a degenerative eye disease. Is the thing about Steve Wynn. I knew this.
All right. What's the deal with this?
So he like, well, it's just like when you know that and you go into the Wynn, everything kind of looks, it's a lot of, from what I remember, I haven't been in a long time, but it's a lot of like big forms. Okay. And like, it's just, it's interesting that there's not a lot of fine detail as much as there. I remember the chandeliers being enormous. But not like enormous with a lot of little pieces, like literally like a zoomed, like a blown up chandelier.
Like bad image quality.
It looked like Kingdom Hearts in there. I don't know how to explain it to you. There's like a sort of.
I mean, I think that's an interesting. That's an extremely relevant comparison here, because I think what we're finding is a commonality between a little bit of Wynn, this person they're making fun of, and the film and Vegas at this time is there's like a Baudrillard style trying to imitate and refine to the point of like creating such distance from the thing that you don't even really know. Do I like this because I liked beauty, luxury, the sense that I might win, or do I like a picture of these things that reminds me of the desire? I mean, Kingdom Hearts style, I think we are both fans of the franchise, but it's sort of operating on this level of like, do I like this? Do I like the properties that it's playing with? Are the properties irrelevance? Like, where is my joy for this even coming from?
Kingdom Hearts is if you're unfamiliar, it's a video game combining the world of, I'm just going to give myself a wedgie here real quick. It's combining the worlds of Square Enix, the creators of Final Fantasy, among other Japanese role-playing games, and the Walt Disney Company. So you have literally like the guy from Final Fantasy VII, Cloud, is fighting
Mickey's.
He's like been hired by Hades, the bad guy from Hercules, to like fight Hercules or whatever.
Right.
It's a very early like multiverse IP mashup type game, but they do have these kind of like Disneyland style. Everything's a little bit exaggerated, a little bit bigger, and so he opens the Wynn in 2005. He's a big art collector. He has like a big sign outside of the Bellagio that says, "Coming soon, Van Gogh, Monet, Renoir, and Cezanne with special guests Pablo Picasso and Henri Matisse."
This is what I mean, though. This is like a guy who says, like, I like taste. I like art. And of course,
I love taste.
Immediately like self-sabotaging any idea that maybe that's true, because of course, regardless of what you're getting out of paintings, presumably what you're getting out of them is like, what does it say about something beyond the painting? Or what is it as an emotional experience?
It's like saying I am the most cultured man in the world because I have I can tell you, no, you can't look at this Picasso unless I say so.
Yeah.
And like he says about the Bellagio, money is a way of expressing no compromise. What?
Although, I mean, honestly, that is like a surprisingly insightful ethos, in the sense of like what it is to try to have unadulterated desire, but not in the sense of like, I mean, that's also what he's selling to people, although that's a falsehood, but it's what he wants for himself. I think this is actually accurate. Yeah.
There's another one of his guys who says his friends, this guy who made a lot of money, this guy who gave him a bunch of money and then it produced a great return. Michael Milken says, would you be worried it was a gamble if you asked Isaac Stern to play a new piece on his violin? If you commissioned Renoir to do a painting 20 years into his career, would you have been gambling? This is an artist at work. About a guy hiring a bunch of people to build a casino. I mean, obviously, look, the comparison to the director is tempting, although complicated significantly by how many different jobs Soderbergh does. But if we think about like a guy who just picks department heads, who delegates like, all right, I'm thinking this thing is going to be themed to a pirate ship. I'm going to hire this architecture firm. I'm going to hire this person to design a pirate ship show. I'm going to be the guy who says yes or no to some choices laid out before me by my creative delegates. But like, he's not really, the thing he's doing is like convincing people to give him money. And then he says where the money's going to go. Like they're talking about, there's even a piece in this Vanity Fair article, which I will link in the description, which is very fascinating, called Steve Wynn's Biggest Gamble, about him opening the Wynn. Not a gamble at all, should say. This is a guy with a lot of money and a history of opening casinos that are successful. It's not gambling. But there's a part in this where even the writer says that Wynn personally designed the 54-foot volcano out in front of the Mirage. Like, did he doesn't know where the support beams are in the volcano.
But it's
like,
funny,
he probably said there should be a volcano.
That's what the film is maybe surprisingly good at, because it has Willie Bank. They talk about him firing 4 architects, including Frank Gehry, I think, because
so he can claim he designed it.
He was the one who designed it. And also when Danny Ocean initially goes and offers him a Billy Martin to sort of like,
which I believe is like a do-over.
Yeah,
I think that's what a Billy Martin
is. That's exactly right. Yeah. Like a chance to make good after hurting Rubin. This is when he gives, to me, like a real Steve Wynn speech where he says, like, I don't lose. Guys who bet on me to lose. I slice like a hammer. I slice like a hammer.
Yeah, I did like that part. Yeah. I mean, Pacino's having fun here.
He's having fun, and some of the dialogue is bright.
He's kind of doing his Serpico voice.
John C. Reilly? That's John C. Reilly you're doing.
No, that's Frank Serpico.
You saw a different film than I did.
It's a little bit
There's something going on with the audio in your theater, my friend.
I have a dog. A sheepdog, I think. Yeah, Pacino's having fun.
Yeah.
And it's really funny because there's some article about Pacino in the Variety around this time when he talks about how one of the reasons he said yes to this was because he was Soderbergh's first choice. Like, there are so many people for whom Al Pacino would be the first choice for them. Like, you got to have more criteria than that. Obviously, they aren't all Steven Soderbergh making Ocean's 13.
Yeah.
It's fine just to say they were going to pay me a lot of money and I thought the movie would be successful. Like, that's fine.
I would say he's probably not even lying. It's just a funny insight into the way Al Pacino's brain works. He's like, he's a weird guy. What he's probably saying is like, I admired his work fairly well, and the fact that he wanted to work with me felt like a compliment.
Yeah, and it's probably fun to be a big stupid cartoon villain and put on like fake hair and be a bastard. But the thing with Steve Wynn is that he is a big piece of shit.
Now this is I think we can safely say not just the thing with Steve Wynn. This is one of the like foundational steel beams that make up Las Vegas and maybe the country at large.
And I would actually expand that to an entire economic system that
quite possibly
undergirds all of global society.
Right.
He is a sex freak bastard piece of shit. Before we get into that, should clarify that of course he's a really rich guy, so he's given money to both Democratic and Republican candidates because, of course, they are both in the same broad coalition in support of really rich guys.
Right.
But after like 2012, he became much more of a Republican guy. He gave a bunch of money to the Republican Governors Association and the Republican Senatorial Committee, Republican National Committee. In 2016, now you might remember 2016, big year for the Republican Party. He gave $833,000 to joint fundraising committees. He was vice chairman of Trump's inauguration committee. And then after Trump is inaugurated the first time, Wynn is named finance chairman of the Republican National Committee.
Yep.
And then all of this, that's in 2017. So then in 2018, a bunch of sexual misconduct allegations come out going back decades.
And I do think that these are also lightly invoked, mostly in service of making him a bad guy, in having Ellen Barkin's character go and like check the arm fat of one of the waitresses and saying that she's going to get fired.
Real thing that happened. Yeah. This was already on the record when this movie came out in 2007. There were 6 cocktail waitresses at Wynn Properties who sued for Steve Wynn personally threatening their job security if they didn't lose weight.
Mm-hmm.
There's a joke in the movie about them being considered models who serve, not waitresses. Yeah. Although I was doing a little research and it seems like you can actually weight it doesn't play into protected classes. Like you can't sue someone for discriminating against you for being ugly, I believe, or being unattractive, and however they distinguish that. So you don't even need to classify them as entertainers. You can just be this awful. But so there was that suit from those 6 women was settled out of court because of concern that the discovery process would bring to light more transgressions, and it seems to basically run the gamut of powerful man making inappropriate comments to rape, like all over any kind of bad sexual misconduct you can imagine. It's probably included here. And so it was so bad he had to step down from the finance chairman position of the Republican National Committee and from Wynn Resorts.
Yeah, the fact that if people recall the heyday of 2016, this was not an infrequent occurrence of like somebody being put in a position and then almost immediately having to leave because they realized they would be under some type of like scrutiny or have to go before a Senate confirmation hearing. And then, of course, since then, what we've realized is actually you can just have done a lot of this stuff like on record and you can still be confirmed. So in 2016, there was maybe the sense that would be disqualifying or would be a problem for people.
He was ordered by the Biden Department of Justice to register as a foreign agent of China.
Wow.
Because he did so much dealing in Macau, which I would bet $100 million that Ocean's 14, if it ever gets made, involves Macau.
Okay. Yeah.
But that's kind of the Steve Wynn story.
I do think that part of the reason that he is a fascinating character, the film does use some of his real life to medium effect, but also falls short, is that the things that it touches on in this film, when it does kind of like bounce into the area of real stakes, it isn't that fun, but it does suggest maybe like just a story that I'm more interested in hearing. You know, I don't mean like explicit political filmmaking, but the fact that these waitresses are treated this way, that to me speaks to the real Vegas, the people who live in Vegas, the people who populate Vegas. You know, I was
right.
An erstwhile member of Unite Here, the hotel union, and that's like a huge part of their representation is from Vegas because they have the like hotel and food service workers organized there.
There's just so many hotel rooms in that city. And so many restaurants that there's so many people working there. Yeah.
Something like 14,000 members or something, you know, just like a enormous, you know, the population of like a small town's worth of people. And the film does bring them in. There's the moment the person who's selected to be the like jackpot winner is also the other side of Vegas, the like either like teachers on vacation or gambling addicts who live nearby. I mean, I think we're just supposed to read her as a normal person, right?
Yeah,
like
we're supposed to read her as non-regular American.
Yeah. But I think those reminders are both like intriguing, and in the moment it plays as sweet because Rusty is like granting access to this pathetic peasant basically to like their rarefied air. But I also think it's accidentally revealing that at this point we are rooting for a team of people who are like hoteliers and also high-class businessmen, and they can't really be Robin Hood and his band of merry men because those guys live in the woods and these guys are all doing really, really well. So
yeah, I mean, I did want to mention, of course, obviously we know that the second that Ocean's 12 filmed in part at George Clooney's Lake Como mansion. And this film, there was an idea at one point that it was going to be shot at
Las Ramblas Resort.
Las Ramblas Resort, which was a planned. There's a lot of full Wikipedia pages for planned resorts that never got built. I guess because there's so much money involved. But this was going to be a resort and condominium complex and a casino and stores and a spa and, you know, a big Vegas compound.
I believe it was the budget estimate reached $3 billion to
and it was announced between a bunch of just like what I got to imagine are like the worst companies in the entire world. Centra Properties and the related companies. But then George Clooney and nightclub developer and Mr. Cindy Crawford, Randy Gerber, sign on to invest in the project in August 2005. And so this is, I think, the origin of Casamigos. Casamigos tequila doesn't happen until
I think that's true.
2012 or 13, which is, of course, George Clooney, Randy Gerber, and say it with me, third silent partner, Mike Meldman.
Yep.
It's Mike Meldman works as a blackjack dealer in Lake Tahoe. That's interesting. They go in together on Casamigos, which is like George Clooney makes so much more money from tequila than he ever did as a movie star. But this was going to be them. But like the idea that George Clooney is a Willie Bank. He's like trying to be a Willie Bank at this point, and we're supposed to like it.
There's suggestions that they might shoot some of Ocean's 13 at this.
Yeah, that's the idea. Yeah, that's why it's relevant. And then it just also never happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's first it gets pushed back where they're like, okay, it's not going to be built in time, and then it gets pushed back in, and they sell the property rights for $200 million, which we have no idea. Is that a loss or a gain? Impossible to say.
I'm sure the way that they
tax sheltered it, that turned out to be a positive thing for them.
Yeah. There's also at some point Clooney announced that they were considering a dress code for the casino to make it like they're trying to do Rat Pack. Clooney is so up his own ass that like he's the new Sinatra meets Cary Grant, even though he can't sing.
I want to return to our points from Ocean's 11, which part of what we discussed was that like Soderbergh is being reverent, almost too reverent to a film that wasn't that good, but ultimately not paying that much attention to that stuff. This film is buying back into the sort of empty Rat Pack fetishism that I think is also like a big piece of modern Vegas in a weird way, even though they were the ones who cannibalized that version of Vegas. Yeah. But they're also sort of invested in this sense. They know that people, 50 years on are still imagining that. I mean, this film has this runner where they keep saying like guys who shook Sinatra's hand have a code, and Willie Banks says like fuck Sinatra's hand or whatever he says.
Well, yeah, there is a whole thing I read. I don't know if this is actually stated anywhere, but that the first film they went out of their way to avoid invoking the Rat Pack because they were trying to do their own thing. Right. And in this one, they're like, I guess, collapsing worlds together. This is Ocean's No Way Home, where like Sinatra can appear And we're just acknowledging that this isn't the first Ocean's 11 that's happened. And like there's obviously the evil wizard Ansem has taken over Kingdom Hearts.
That's right.
Which is a source of energy at the center of the universe, which has caused the two Ocean's 11 universes to collide into each other.
And that's why we get also this sort of, we're talking about like proto MCU stuff, but we get Bruiser shows up on the opening night, the guy who pretended to beat up Danny Ocean the first film, and he gets to walk away with his money. And there's sort of like this slightly self-satisfied, like, hey, everybody cares about each other. There's a family. You're in the family. We just enjoy seeing these people succeed. And it's cute, and it also sort of reveals that maybe there's just like too much established mythology to tell an interesting story here, to tell a really interesting story.
Yeah, we've gotten too into the weeds a little bit. I mean, we should say, while they go out of their way not to actually take sexual advantage of Sponder.
Ellen Barkin's character,
Ellen Barkin's character. They are basically date raping her with the Gilroy, which is apparently named after Tony Gilroy as a joke.
Very funny.
That's real.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't use any kind of pheromonal trick on anyone.
Yeah. That's
if you're in a consensual relationship and somebody wants you to use some kind of weird stuff on them, but that's none of my business.
Entirely different circumstance.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
But this lady is like, that she doesn't know what's happening here, and he is keeping her at bay, but she is like embarrassing herself.
There's also like an almost contradictory story element where they keep saying that she's a cougar and sort of like easier to seduce because she's of a certain age, and I think Ellen Barkin looks great, and it's just sort of like, what? I
will say Ellen Barkin, of course, reuniting with Pacino in this film after the great film Sea of Love. We're both fans of the film Sea of Love.
Yeah.
But I should say Ellen Barkin is 71 and was like recently romantically linked. Her breakout is in the film Diner, directed by Barry Levinson.
She's
recently,
very good in that film, I think.
Within the last few years, linked with Euphoria creator Sam Levinson, his son, who is like 30 years younger.
Interesting.
Which is like, I guess, fine, except that it's Sam Levinson. And like the whole thing is just icky. Euphoria is based on an Israeli television show. I think more people should be talking about this.
Yeah.
And I don't know. She, my famous podcast girlfriend, did want me to point out that she seems to wear the same dress every day, which is weird.
Yeah.
She creeps me out. There's something creepy about her to me.
Interesting.
Like, I think she's supposed to. I think it's kind of...
Oh, the character you're saying, or...
No, Ellen Barkin.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Interesting. I think maybe I just have a fondness for her from the films that I see, like your Buckaroo Banzais and your...
Yeah, I don't know. There's something creepy about her to me.
Interesting. Interesting. I mean, what was with Gabriel Byrne for a while? That's an endorsement.
And then he attended her wedding to her second husband, which seems nice.
Yep.
I don't know. To a guy named Ron Perlman, not Ron Perlman.
Right. She's also in Down by Law, another black and white film that I love.
You're right. That's a good point. She's in that. So don't do that. If you're ever in a position to use the Gilroy, don't use the
Gilroy.
I can't be free with myself in Mr. Wang's villa is a very funny line.
So... Look, I think we've been maybe unkind to the film, and at least for me. There were lines that I thought were funny. There were moments in this that are funny.
Oh yeah, there's parts that are enjoyable.
I think Soderbergh's really indulging himself, like his comedic instincts. I talked about Schizopolis coming through in Ocean's 12. I think there's plenty of Schizopolis here. There's just like funny names, Kensington Chubb and stuff. That's like
although those are two names of lock brands. So it's not out of nowhere, but it is very funny to be Kensington Chubb.
Yes, yeah.
They are really fucking mean to David Paymer. That is shitty. You don't have to infect him.
If I had to give some representation to my girlfriend here, she almost wanted to stop watching the movie because she was so upset for him.
Because it would still hurt the guy's feelings if they got 4 diamonds.
Sure. I guess I couldn't tell if this is just because I knew the resolution of the Susan B. Anthony thing at the end, or don't necessarily relate to every character in like a Looney Tunes movie.
Well,
I mean, I love David Paymer. I was happy to see him.
I'm an itchy guy. So to see someone itching and puking and stuff.
Look, I considered the 2 question being about any type of vacation reactions you've had, and I realized that we don't have 5 hours to do the podcast. So
I probably talked about most of them on the show.
Yeah,
anyway.
maybe. No, definitely not most of them.
I've had reactions to leaving the county.
Yeah. Yep, that's right.
Yeah. So that's fucked. I did look up the AAA 5 Diamond, the diamond inspection process, and yes. They have a really funny part of their website. I will leave this to listeners to investigate for themselves. But they have a section on their website called Meet the Experts.
I wish we could communicate this. You must go look this up.
But it says, get to know the professionals working behind the scenes and in the field to provide information and insight you can trust. Check out our inspector and travel editor photos and bios for a glimpse of their extensive industry and travel experience and diverse interests. Since we can't reveal our inspectors' names and faces, they're identified by numbers. So these are all, as I put it to you, Lemony Snicket ass. Yeah. Anonymous photos. They're like the backs of people's heads, or like there's one guy who's like, it's a selfie, but just his ear is in frame.
And like mostly a horizon of an ocean.
It's really funny. And then they'll talk about, so it says, Inspector 40. Since 1997, Inspector 40 has enjoyed working in a different place each day and dining in some of the world's best restaurants. He spent his pre-AAA days working at a luxury hotel in Orlando and serving as a pastor. He still preaches at various churches each year. One of his favorite travel pastimes is visiting buildings designed by famous architects, such as Ludwig Mies van der Rohe. His territory covers Chicago, so he gets to indulge his hobby often. Visiting the Castle Hotel and Spa in New York was a highlight of his career. And then there's 2 questions. Hey. Wants to visit Grand Canyon. Favorite cuisine? Asian is at the top of his list.
This is all of these guys are like, my favorite food is Asian food type guys. You shared a picture with me of a guy who I sort of felt secondhand shame for because he enjoyed some things that I've enjoyed in my life, but the way that he brings them across robs them of all interesting elements.
This is the guy who says, some of his most memorable work trips have been to Alaska, the Dakotas, and Montana, all of which he included such stunning natural beauty and copious wildlife encounters. He's fluent in Spanish and is a fan of music festivals.
I love hiking, Spanish, and music festivals. I mean, I've enjoyed all those things in my time, but is this on purpose? What's happening where these guys come across as like...
I think part of it is that
vectors.
I think they're trying to say, like, this is a person who could be you.
Right.
Like, this is a relatable, understandable person who has, and look, I appreciate that they all seem to have worked in hotels and restaurants prior to this, so they know how this stuff works. And I do think there is something valuable in a third party that goes around and makes sure that places where you like sleep and wash your ass are up to snuff.
Yeah.
Now, that place also is an enormous lobbying concern that is preventing the construction of viable public transit in the United States. That's not good. AAA is really bad. But I guess it's good to know if a place is like unsafe to be in. But then there's the thing where like 5 Diamond, I was telling you about this, that like the diamond levels specifically, I believe exist now as a way for like executive travel bookers, like travel booking assistants, to just know which hotel is going to be nice enough for like their really fancy boss to stay in.
Which I want to say is a secret element of Vegas that isn't really portrayed on screen in any of these films, which is a tremendous amount of the business that gets done there are people who book like conventions or meetings in Vegas, and it's sort of this like weird endless cycle where they're there because it's Vegas, but also mostly the things they do there are business things with the occasional Cirque du Soleil show or whatever. And these are enormously wealthy people who don't really engage with the place, but also like enjoy being proximate to the idea of Vegas, I think.
Right.
And
yeah,
I don't know. I think it's maybe the closest thing we get are Danny Ocean's whales that he's sort of like using as a bargaining chip. The people who are going to come drop a bunch of money, don't mind losing at the bank. But that is, I think, a big piece of Vegas is like Oracle guys at a convention.
Right. Which is why you need, like, this is why Disneyland was lobbying so hard to the city of Anaheim to let them basically like bulldoze a bunch of Anaheim and expand not the theme park, but like the downtown Disney area, and put in specifically a 5 Diamond Resort so that they could entice the executives coming to the Anaheim Convention Center, because Anaheim and Orlando are both enormous convention destinations as well, because then you can put people up at Disneyland and Disney World and be like, come to the convention and we'll also comp you to the theme park. So you just have a bunch of like 60-year-old guys with tucked in polo shirts
going over there for like an hour and a half. Yeah.
Yeah. Meeting fucking Encanto.
Or like sending their families over there while they go to the convention center.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know. These places are proposed to be kind of escapes from the rat race, a place where you can act in excess and you can revel. There's revelry going on here, but they are in fact just another node in the sort of vampiric. I'm imagining the vines from the Spielberg War of the Worlds movie that cover everything. This is part of the capital vine.
Yeah, and I wish I could remember the name of this book that I read in college that tried to trace the evolution of these sort of outside of society spaces, these like emergency release valve places.
Sure.
That, I mean, at no time in their history would we say that they were an expression of societal health, but they began maybe as like, this is for peasants or feudal workers or Victorian factory laborers or something to go engage in really intense, like you're saying, revelry or sort of controlled sinning or something. But now, I mean, there is still that. There is still the fact that, you know, the people who populate Vegas casinos, the reason that it's such a bleak destination, I think most of the time that I've been there, is that you are seeing a lot of people just like gambling away their paychecks, their first and 15th or something.
That's the same thing with the fucking Disneyland. The people who go to Disneyland every day.
Yeah.
Where like you are that rat that they sliced the thing in his head that keeps him from he'll just keep pressing the button for treats every moment until he becomes Violet Beauregard and
I think
can't
that's
leave.
the normal rat. That's just the normal guy, unfortunately, for us.
It seems like it for me. Yeah. I love my pellet.
You do.
I'm addicted to I'm a pellet-holic, basically. Yeah. You know.
Hey.
What else? Anything else we need to cover here?
I think we got to talk about visuals. We touched on it very briefly. There's still, I mean, Soderbergh does, it's almost distracting how hard he swings for the fences sometimes. It's not, to me, as perfectly measured as the first film. Or even the second film, but there's like a couple tungsten blue-orange scenes that are like very, very attractive to look at. The Armin Weitzman, a friend of the show, gets a little like
UCB's own Armin Weitzman as the guy who builds the trapdoor
Eugene
into the who builds the thing that they use to trigger the jackpot.
But he gets machine. Like a back alley. Like again, this is where Soderbergh suddenly like remembers that it's interesting to show different sides of a city, because this is like a bleak entrance to a parking garage next to a totally nondescript building with a really strange green lamp illuminating everything.
There's also the part where they blackmail the security guy, right?
Yep.
This is the kind of bloody nose, empty pockets, hard eight sort of aspect of these films. You get more in the first one there's a couple characters like this in the first one, where you get the sense not that these guys have so much money they can do anything, but that these guys have so many connections and they are like charming and beloved. Even
when Saul calls in the like co-eds, you know, I'd hate to use that phrase, but I do think that's kind of how they're employed.
He calls in the hot girls.
He calls in the hot girls who are themselves like, I think we're meant to understand are like charming and operators themselves, but to distract the guy who's going to do the big jump so that Basher can pretend to be him for a little while.
Speaking of guys who do big jumps,
Mario,
Super Dave Osborne.
Oh, okay, yep.
Bob Einstein finally appearing as Linus's father, Bobby Caldwell.
Yes.
Now, of course, we talked about this. At one point, there was an idea that they were going to try to court Clint Eastwood for the role of Linus's father. Now, we be covering this for the second time.
Yeah,
that's interesting to think about. And then, of course, Clint's going to work with Max Damon in two of his greatest films. Well, one film that's surprisingly good hereafter. And then Invictus, which is his worst movie. But he's funny, I guess. I don't know. They shot a scene with Peter Fonda as Bobby Caldwell for Ocean's 12 that got cut.
Yeah.
And then Peter Fonda was unable to reprise his role for this film. Do you know why?
No, I didn't see this.
Ghost Rider.
Okay.
He's playing Mephisto in the Nicolas Cage Ghost Rider movie.
Of course. He's easy ghost riding. Yeah.
Yeah. He's also in Whale Rider. Any Rider movie he can be in that.
The Rider. We like this film, The Rider.
He's also in The Ghost Writer, the Roman Polanski film.
Yeah. What else?
What else?
Riders of the Lost Ark.
Riders of the Lost Ark. That's good. Along Came a Rider with Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
Rider Man. Obviously Rider Man 2. Rider Man 3.
The Raimi Rider Man.
Rider Man 3 is why Topher Grace couldn't be in this one.
That is
true. He had to be in Spider-Man 3.
Yeah. Did you see this silly little story that I have no idea whether it's true or a Topher Grace joke where he said that there was one scene written for him where Rusty calls him and he's holding a Chinese baby with no explanation.
That's funny to use people of different ethnicities as props for comedy.
Yeah.
It'd be funny if he had a baby.
Yeah.
But like, if the joke is that he's holding something incongruous, like it could just be like a penguin or something, you know?
And again,
apparently Wayne Newton had live penguins in his house. Wandering around.
Okay.
Yeah. Speaking of Vegas.
I hope they're okay.
Me too. Oprah is a bad person. Oprah is also like friends with George Clooney. So this whole thing just, I don't know. It wasn't funny to me. Oprah is kind of played out. She's a bit of a Chuck Norris to me at this point, making jokes about Oprah.
Well, we talked about in our first episode, but maybe this allows us to expand on it slightly. The idea that like part of the promise of Vegas is a distraction because it makes you feel like that's an outlet for you and like a possibility. And I would say the same thing for celebrity philanthropists. The promise of capitalism is that don't worry, the good people or Lady Luck exactly
will smooth over any unforeseen errors in the system.
Or even if it's not promised to you, I mean, because this is not a real social safety net, I think we're meant to be relieved by the sense of freedom that we can pursue this option. Like we can try to get the luck-based social security system.
Luck-based a lady tonight. You know?
I do. Hey, soundtrack. Talk about the soundtrack.
Soundtrack good.
Liked it a lot. It's the most self-consciously like goldsmithy 60s like sort of jazz excitement soundtrack of the three.
Yeah, I mean it's, the music is always pleasant and it keeps these things feeling propulsive. I just felt like in this one it's the same kind of propulsion as the first one. We should say, there's a little bit of a Hollywood metaphor to be drawn here. He talks somebody tells the Ocean crew that they're analog guys in a digital world or whatever. There's this idea of the end of the sort of handshake era, and the arrival of just MBAs who will fuck you over and treat any product as product, and it doesn't matter if it's a work of cinema or if it's a paperclip. Little bit going on there, I guess. In that metaphor, the crew here is just like ruining a movie's box office on purpose. Is this a movie about Full Frontal?
That's a great question. This could be big for us. Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think Soderbergh would want as many people as possible to see his films.
I think
he's
so
not
too.
Like he's not doing pranks. He's not George Clooney.
He's not his friend George Clooney. Yeah. No, I think. Look, unfortunately, I think this film is easy to explain, which is why we've been maybe struggling to find surprising angles. I think there's things worth talking about, and I think there's elements of this that I had not paid attention to because I had not studied the first two films to the same extent. But ultimately, I do think this is an outing where people are trying to have fun with the same characters and maybe bring it to a close by like my favorite Game Master Anthony. All my favorite characters come in for a big hug style.
I mean, I gotta say, dude, they're trying to do a 14th one.
Yeah.
Well, not a fourth one.
Yeah.
But there weren't 3 movies worth of stuff here, and now some of the guys are dead, including Bernie Mac.
Yeah. I mean, the second film...
trying to do this without Bernie Mac?
The second film, significantly, was a different script. They were like, oh, we can kind of make this an Ocean story, but it really existed as a story in and of itself.
I think notably, Soderbergh, obviously he started doing this with like, I guess Traffic is probably the first one, but like his whole thing is he'll get you a bunch of movie stars who will do an ensemble with a lot of exciting camera work and intricate plotting. And so he is like Black Bag has some of the Ocean's magic. Contagion is like scary Ocean's 11 a little bit. Haywire has some Ocean, he returns to a lot of the stuff that makes these work. And so the idea that like, well, it has to be some guys ripping off a casino. No, it doesn't.
And I actually think this is very well observed on your part. And I think something like a Black Bag
got new glasses recently.
Okay, great.
I did. You didn't notice.
Yeah, you told me. I didn't notice when you asked me about this in Mexico, but now I know about it.
You didn't notice that I got glasses that look almost exactly like my old glasses.
That's right. Yeah.
And I'm upset.
Yeah.
The funny thing is I am for real, but not about you, just anybody.
Really
Nobody
sorry.
did. No, nobody did. Nobody did.
But that makes it worse. That doesn't make it better.
But you famously can't tell the difference between like Comic Sans and, Papyrus. Yep. So
I think the reason Black Bag, well, we can't talk about Black Bag really, but the reason that we can maybe say that it works temporarily, interim review, is that we're back to the Ocean's 11 thing of like, well, these are stars that we're sort of inherently invested in any character that they play. He's being withholding in terms of revealing like these people's jobs, their relationship with each other, the dynamics, their goals, all these things. The problem is that for Ocean's 13, you can't be withholding in the third entry in a film. There's nothing left to withhold. And so what we're left with is, it's not like he is drawing it out. I actually want to give him some credit because the average shot length in this film has got to be like 5 seconds or something.
I should say it's not dull at all. It just doesn't feel like it amounts to too terribly much. When the first one's trick, I guess, was like making you feel like it amounted to more than it did.
Right, so much more substantial than it sort of deserved to be, or as we said, any film like that has managed to be since. Whereas this film, it knows that it can't be any longer in its scenes. I mean, we haven't discussed the Virgil and Turk side quest where they go down to Mexico to work in the dice factory because they're gonna...
we should talk about that. Senor Bigotes down
exactly
there.
They're gonna put basically like magic powder in the dice. That means that you can control them with a lighter.
This is more Mission Impossible shit.
And that was the kind of thing that even as a 15-year-old you're sort of like, well, that's not like a scam or like a con. That's just like... That's
fucking superpowers. They basically... It's like the screenwriters heard about ceramic knives.
Right,
and they're like, well, what if you made like... are they ceramic magnets? There's some kind of... It's a magnet that's like undetectable by the special lasers they use to... And like that part is interesting. And if you could actually like find a way to trick some of the mechanisms that casinos use to keep someone from tricking like that, I do want to hear about that. That's always fun.
Yep.
But if the trick is we put special magic powder in the dice, and I think
it's sort of laid bare. It's laid bare, not in even an annoying CinemaSins way, but just like they just like pour a big bottle of stuff into the big
two
mix.
Big bottles. Actually,
you're right. 2 big bottles,
and they look around suspiciously.
Yeah. But again, like to returning to our original point here, Soderbergh is like pretty surgical in that he only cuts to this world like 4 or 5 times, like down in Mexico factory. Each one is a funny bit, I think. Each one is like basically like a single joke each time. And the entire sequence, again, lasts, I'm going to say under 30 seconds probably in each case, certainly under a minute, I would say. And it's part of this thing that I think makes this film feel like you're saying the opposite of the first film, where you finish it and you realize that you ate only popcorn and your stomach kind of hurts, and like maybe you should have had a smoothie or something to go with it.
Popcorn smoothie, You probably something you would tell me you drank, and then you would get mad at me for thinking it was weird. Everyone drinks popcorn smoothies in Mexico. It's like that's actually really popular.
This is a joke for the two of us, but you're right. That's an exchange that would happen between us. Yeah.
I don't know. It might be a joke for the listener.
Yep.
Because you could imagine someone saying that, which would be absurd, and so that maybe you're laughing.
Yeah.
It is interesting to read this sequence against Bubble and against the upcoming Che, where this is very much workplace organization and labor agitation as joke, as something silly, as Looney Tunes, which like, look, I'm not saying every movie about labor has to be Harlan County USA.
Right. Yeah.
But especially when these movies, like, you know, one of the main criticisms about Ocean's 12 was like, we can tell that you're all getting a studio to pay you to go on vacation in Lake Como.
Yep.
And also Soderbergh is VP of the DGA, which is the one Hollywood guild that basically never goes on strike.
Yeah.
And some of this, you know, he's a dues paying non-member of the WGA. His relationship to organized labor is a little bit vexed. So
And even the final joke, it's not like totally dismissive, because in some ways, to walk people through this in case they've forgotten, Virgil goes down to where the dice are being made. He sort of like gets distracted because he realizes that all the workers there are underpaid, and
there's no air conditioning.
And he sort of like accidentally agitates them initially until they go on strike. And this is, I mean, creating some of the rare friction in the film, because it's like a stumbling block to their success as a team, because now the dice aren't being made. But then we get the heightening joke of Turk goes down there to like straighten things out, and cut to him also being a part of the strike. Now he says something like, all we have to do is break management. And then the resolution is Rusty and Danny and Terry Benedict are talking about what they have to do to get this like figured out. And Rusty says, well, they need 36,000. That's what like all these people are agitating for. And they say like, all right, well, 36,000 times 200 workers. That's something like 7 million. And then he says, no, not 36,000 per person, $36,000. And this is sort of like a weird combination of compassionate and condescending at the same time, I think.
Right.
Because it's like, I will tell you that, unfortunately, the reality is that might have been, because I think he says that would amount to a 5% pay increase.
Yeah.
That may have been even an overestimate of how much a 5% pay increase would be.
It seemed too ridiculous, maybe, and they had to juice the number.
Exactly, for 200 people. So, I mean, it's good that he's recognizing like how dire it is, but I also think part of the punchline is just like, this is like a non-issue. Like these people, we can just pay it off. It's fine.
And it is, it is the extraordinarily stupid, annoying characters who get involved with this.
Yeah, the two biggest idiots in the franchise.
I will say that Turk is dumber than Virgil, obviously. Casey Affleck is the less dumb of the two, but their whole thing is that they are bumbling fools who somehow seem to pull it off.
And to the movie's credit, I think Virgil, in his like borderline racist mustache and his bad Spanish, he is the punchline.
Although he did live in Mexico City with his brother.
It's true.
Ben. Although Ben's Spanish is so much better than Casey's.
Sorry to Casey. I don't know if it's an age thing or what. But it's never laughing like at the Mexican workers at this factory at any point, which I think is good. I mean, that's...
No, but it's like we're not invested in their... It's not Norma Ray.
No.
We're not invested in their
no, I think they get as
struggle.
Much humanity. Well, particularly the one guy gets as much humanity as a bruiser. He
actually gets half of it because
turns
it's
out he's two guys. Yeah,
he is his own brother or whatever. Which I guess is kind of funny. Just the two guys look the same.
And there's a little bit of I think generously like network of faceless workers who make these weird luxury like pyramids exist, and they're all over the world. They're making the dice, and they're also staffing the kitchens or the tech area. I don't know what his job is in this hotel.
Yeah. He works he basically works in the hallway from where Austin Powers gets the little car stuck.
Now it's funny you say this. I was feeling a little bit Austin Powers during this movie.
It looks exactly like that.
Well, that scene in particular, but I also think like that is kind of the gravity that any situation is given in this movie. It's like Austin Powers.
You're saying you were feeling Randy?
Yeah, I was feeling Randy, baby.
Yeah, baby, yeah. I follow this Austin Powers impersonator on Instagram.
You do? Yes, that's true.
Yeah, and he posted Happy Rosh Hashanah. The guy's pretty clearly Jewish. You could see it. But like in the outfit and doing like, he really leans into Austin Powers' ugly smile.
Okay.
He's like, smile. I'm trying to make the sound. And so he posted himself with a yarmulke on, doing that said like Happy Rosh Hashanah, baby, yeah. And then he posted like apparently people were mad at him.
Oh
like,
no.
This page is not for politics. I celebrate holidays of all faiths.
Yeah.
I respect everyone. I want everyone to have a good, we're having fun here. So clearly someone was probably saying like, hey, how come Austin Powers hasn't said Happy Eid?
Right.
Which... something to consider.
Yeah.
What would he get up to? Austin Powers in Arabia?
Oh, hey.
AP4?
Sure.
Send him over to Riyadh for the comedy festival?
No, thank you.
That's probably about all the stuff there is in this movie, huh?
Yeah, I don't know that there's besides
I feel kind of bummed out.
Accidentally
is that okay?
I think besides accidentally laying bare like 90s to 2000s accumulation of capital stuff and like NAFTA fallout, or I don't know, there's some very invisible threads you can identify here. The rise of like Chinese business as something that is acknowledged internationally.
That'll come up in 2014 when
you
go to Macau.
I guess so. Yeah, I don't know. Some parts of it were funny. Bernie makes me laugh when he's
Bernie Mac's very funny
when he's doing
Pacino's funny.
Yep.
I think it's funny that they got Pacino to say
Travis Pastrana.
That's funny.
That is funny.
Weird.
Yeah, that's a good moment.
He made a pastrami joke.
You'd better believe he did.
Yeah. Give me a Travis Pastrana on rye.
Yeah, that's pretty
from
good.
Catering.
Yeah,
Pacino, one of those guys there's a certain type of showbiz guy who's old enough that they become Jewish no matter what. I can say it.
I can't engage with this. Yeah.
I can say it. I'm allowed.
Yep.
Well, he probably says some Yiddish stuff that he just picked up. And he was on that Nazi Hunter show, and he plays Jewish in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
That's true. Yep.
So he's, I guess he must be getting the pass from somewhere. I don't know where you get that from. Anyway, that's going to be our episode on Ocean's 13.
Yeah, I think...
Put it to bed.
Yeah, I hope
the Ocean's 8 Patreon episode is going to be the lowest energy we've ever been.
Well, it's also going to be the most carefully tiptoed episode that we've ever recorded of how respectfully can we say that this film is boring?
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were just imagining Anne Hathaway tiptoeing.
No, I don't
something
do that.
You do a lot.
Nope.
Look, she's a talented performer.
Yeah.
It's one more segment we got to do before we get out of here. It's called Popcornopolis.
This is Popcornopolis, the segment where we ask our guest, do you like popcorn?
Don't have a guest. Ian, any popcorn updates besides the smoothie we just mentioned?
Yeah. I had some popcorn, at-home popcorn, non-movie popcorn. That's always weird for me.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's nice to have a snack. They didn't have any of the normal popcorn, so we did a little bit of this gambling, and we bought the cheddar jalapeno popcorn. And I gotta tell you,
what?
Pretty good. It was a bit of an Ocean's 13 popcorn buy. I don't know.
So cheddar jalapeno I associate with that's a chowder. That's a
eating some
type.
Crazy chowders.
I made a cheddar jalapeno scone once.
Those are quite good. Sorry, do you think a scone is a type of chowder? What's happening?
No, although they can have similar flavor profiles if you want them to.
Wow.
Those are both very, I think, malleable forms.
This is the most interesting part of the podcast so far, Tim. And I'm
imagining making a strawberry chowder. Ooh. We're going to have to explore this further.
Cinnamon chowder, yeah.
Clotted cream in my chowder. Just couldn't even say the word. Fuck. I'm trying to think if there's any...
Yeah, what's your popcorn news?
Well, I do want to say this is not popcorn, but it's a salty snack, and it's a little munch and it's a little crunch snack as well. It's to hand. When I was there in Mexico City, I found a new treat that I like. Totis. Totis, Look,
I've tried to wow you with some of Mexico's chip game, which I think is tremendous. And you really selected the one that I think is just aggressively fine.
Lime and salt. Limon y sal totis. They look like little Funyuns. Imagine a Funyun scaled down by half. So it's like a little ring.
Between a Cheerio and a Funyun.
Oniony.
Yeah, nope.
And I ate so many of them. I brought them with me on the plane, and then I got a bunch of them on the floor of the plane by accident.
He bought a second bag the third day he was there.
Yeah, the guy leaning into George Bush while he reads the goat book. Jake bought a second bag of totis.
Yes.
I don't know. I like a plain food. I'm famous for liking kind of a boring food. But I like an interesting food as well. I recently had a strawberry chowder with clotted cream.
Eat food diet.
What?
Sorry?
Julia Roberts is in that.
Bye.
That's going to do it for us. You can't say bye yet. You got to remember to subscribe, rate us, write us a review. It helps us on the algorithm. If you like the show, tell a friend, tell your dad. Write a letter to Elliot Gould. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Pod Casty For Me if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, or you're interested in co-hosting a two-person Steven Soderbergh podcast. You can email us at podcastingforme@gmail.com. All of this is at podcastingforme.com and shootingyourselfinthehead.com. Thank you to Jeremy Allison for our artwork. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode of the show. If you can't wait that long, go to the Patreon. Where up next, we have something I don't know what it is, but it's going to be good. It's going to be funny.
Bye.
Bye.